I was there a full year after the tsunami had hit. And one of the things that people said to us was, thank you for remembering us. Because too often, the media moves on so fast to the next sensational story. It's just really important to me that people try to just be an encouragement to others out there and be a blessing to other people.
Welcome to Six Figure Trucker, the podcast where we share advice on how to be successful in trucking and have fun while doing so. We'll share stories, news, and advice on how to earn six figures in trucking, and we'll speak to guys and gals that are already doing so. Let's get to the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. And each and every one of you that joins us each week know that this is a space where we elevate and celebrate the driver. And last week, we heard from one of our most tenured drivers that we have, 10-year veteran, Joshua Dodge. He's a tow-behind driver, and he talked about the pros and cons of being a tow-behind driver. But one thing he really highlighted was the flexibility of being a driveaway driver and being a tow-behind driver, and the time and the opportunities that it offers him when he's not behind the wheel of a big truck. And Joshua joins us now. And Joshua, let's talk a little bit. We talked a lot about driveaway last week, but now let's talk a little bit about your passions. You have a lot of them, but some that come to mind specifically under the umbrella of volunteerism.
Yeah, that's correct. I do.
Now, what are some of the causes that are near and dear to your heart?
I've been volunteering with some disaster relief agencies for a few years, and I've been involved with some other, I'd call them service projects and humanitarian aid for a number of years also.
Now, what was the appeal of doing that? What drew you into helping out in disasters, humanitarian aid? How did you get involved in it?
Well, one of the things originally, I was wondering if I could use my commercial driving experience to just simply help bring supplies to a disaster area, if that was cases of water or medical aid or just general supplies to respond when there's great need. And it just seems like natural disasters continue to increase, and we see it on the news all the time. We've got tornadoes in the Midwest. Hurricane season will be approaching soon in the Gulf area. And so there's just always something that's out of our hands, unexpected. And when people are hit by things like that, they don't know what to do in the moment.
That's got to be rewarding for you to be able to use that CDL and your own time and empathy to help people out.
Yeah, it definitely has been very rewarding. And to speak to the flexibility, that's part of why I continue to do Driveaway, is that it allows the time that when a disaster strikes, of course, it's going to happen at some unknown time, and to be able to not work and to be able to go and assist other people at a moment's notice is something that is really important to me in the programs that I'm a part of, and Driveaway has allowed for that.
Now, you have worked in this capacity in humanitarian relief, disaster relief, for a number of organizations, and your travels have taken you to many places. Kind of run down, give us a from 35,000 feet, a look down to where you've been, what you've seen, some of the disasters you've been involved in.
Well, first start by listing off a few of the organizations that I've volunteered with. I've been with the Salvation Army, the Red Cross, Samaritan's Purse, an organization called Mercy Ships that actually provides free medical care in Africa with a ship that has a hospital built into it so that it's a mobile hospital. And additionally, I volunteer with the Southern Baptist Disaster Relief Program to respond to all types of disasters across the country and sometimes internationally as well.
I would say, I mean, from my background in broadcasting, I've covered many disasters myself, and it absolutely breaks your heart when you go to a place that's been hit by a natural disaster. There's this sense of helplessness there, but obviously there are people like yourself who bring help in. It's not just the the physical products that you bring in, but that ray of hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, tell us about what you worked with the Salvation Army. Was that where you were able to use your CDL, or was that another organization?
Funny thing, the CDL has actually come in handy in more than one case. I've driven passenger vehicle in Japan after the tsunami in 2011 devastated nearly 400 miles of the coastline, and I was able to get a international driver's permit at a commercial level and actually drive volunteers who were going to be aiding homes that were damaged and people that were displaced, and begin to put the pieces back together again of shattered memories when it really seemed like everything was bleak. And specifically, when I did that, I was there a full year after the tsunami had hit. And one of the things that people said to us was, thank you for remembering us. Because too often, the media moves on so fast to the next sensational story.
True. Seeing that type of gratitude a year after the fact from people, and being there with them and being a blanket of support, is that something that keeps you going in this passion pursuit?
Yeah, it definitely does.
Now, you also mentioned Samaritan's Purse. Is that the one that took you to Japan, Samaritan's Purse?
We did partner with Samaritan's Purse there. That wasn't the program that specifically took me to Japan, but they were a partner there.
And more recently, you were helping an American state that went through a recent disaster, Hawaii. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go to Hawaii, where those of you listening recall the Lahaina wildfire that nearly devastated an entire town. Close to 100 people were killed in the fire, and it's impossible to point fingers and point out specific causes of that. The fact is, this fire was partly developed because they had a couple of days of hurricane-force winds in advance of the fire. So there was multiple issues at play, but I was able to spend 2 weeks literally sifting through the ashes and the remains of people's homes and lives, attempting to find any mementos, anything that had survived, such as class rings, wedding bands, any other jewelry or important documents that were remaining in fireproof safes.
Were you able to find some pieces like that for people who had been devastated?
We did. We had some successes, but in a fire environment like that, there are not a lot of things that survive the fire. And now picture this. If you have a 2-story apartment facility or a 2-story home, anything that was on the second floor has now found its way down to the first floor level. Indeed. And makes searching through all that debris even more difficult.
Now, how long have you been doing this as far as disaster relief?
Specifically disaster relief, I don't recall, but all the way back in high school, we did some volunteer service projects traveling from where I grew up in Illinois to Mississippi to simply do re-roofing projects and house painting and just generally serving the communities that were there and just trying to reach out, help one another, love people, and work to the best of our little teenage abilities, I guess.
I gotcha. Well, I mean, if I remember correctly, you're roughly 44, 45 years old. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
And so you've been doing this for 30 years, roughly. It's a passion for you. And is it something you see continuing as you still do the Driveaway to pay the bills and give you the time and the money to do the disaster relief?
I definitely expect that this will continue for the foreseeable future, as long as the work continues, trucks are rolling, and I think until we don't need supplies on our shelves, there will be work for us.
Gotcha. Joshua, I wanted to ask you, I mean, as you rightly noted, no one knows when a disaster is going to strike. but there's a good likelihood, because we've seen a lot of natural disasters increase in frequency as the years have ticked on. Are you going to have yourself in a position to be ready this summer, fall, should something strike?
I definitely plan to. You're right that we don't know when those disasters specifically will hit, but I'm actually part of a program currently that schedules trips for teenagers, youth, and adults in doing rebuilding projects also after a natural disaster has taken place. That program is called Adventures in Missions, and they've spent the better part of this past year as a part of their program rebuilding houses in Florida that were damaged by a previous hurricane.
How important is that? You talked about how the media moves on to the next story, the next disaster, but how important is it to not forget those when another one strikes, but the one that had happened before? Because it takes so much time and so much emotion, and it draws on some people so much to recover from a disaster. How important is it to stay with the project in the mission you're talking about now?
It's pretty critical because solutions like this don't just take place overnight. The emotional damage of losing an entire home don't go away overnight. Even when you rebuild the home from a fire, from a hurricane, the emotional damage is still pretty strong. And it's just really important to me that people try to just be an encouragement to others out there. And we talked about this before, about truck drivers on the road helping one another out. And the office has to be available to help drivers as well. And so it's better to try to be a blessing to other people than to be a drain on the environment and to be a drain on our coworkers. And I think you understand what I'm talking about there.
Absolutely. Those are very wise words from Joshua Dodge, joining us on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. This is week 2 with Joshua, and he is on the road now, making his way to his uncle's house. And when is your next load after you spend some time with your uncle?
I was trying to get one set up for pickup today, but unfortunately, another driver got to it before I was able to. So I don't have anything else currently scheduled at the moment, but I know my dispatcher is taking a look at things.
Well, your uncle lives in the D.C. area, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
It shouldn't be hard to find anything coming out of there. There should be a lot of stuff in Maryland and in the surrounding area. You should be able to pick up something quickly. But we do want to really thank you for not only the 10 years of service, but what we've learned about you, having the heart and the compassion for others. Is that something that was instilled in you by your parents, or did it just naturally evolve, or how did that come about to have that type of spirit?
Yeah, that was definitely influenced by my parents. They've been a good role model. They've been hardworking, and they've been very kind. They actually celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary this year.
Congratulations to them.
Yeah, congratulations to them.
Well, Joshua, we certainly thank you for joining us on the program. Anything you want to say to people who may be considering volunteering? You know, a lot of people have the time but don't take the first step. What would your words of encouragement be to someone who wants to volunteer but hasn't taken that first step?
I would definitely encourage you to reach out to find out in your community what some of the agencies are, whether it's a disaster relief scenario or simply volunteering with a program to help children in underprivileged areas. There are a whole variety of options where you can volunteer to be a temporarily respite care worker or a temporary adoptive foster care parent. So there's just a unlimited number of options. Teachers often have the summers open where their schedule is more flexible than the school year. So most of us that work full time throughout the year, we have to try to find the ways of balancing our priorities, balancing our families, and doing the things that we're really passionate about.
Joshua Dodge making a difference in the world around him, his local community, in the nation, and he's even gone beyond the shores of America. Joshua Dodge, we certainly appreciate you joining us on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Thank you, Joshua.
Yeah, thank you, John. I just want to encourage everyone just to speak life and bring life to those around you. Thanks.
Very wise words from Joshua Dodge. Thank you again.
Six Figure Trucker is brought to you by Norton Transport. Norton Transport is a drive-away trucking company that customers can rely on. It offers excellent independent contract driving opportunities to professional, courteous, and qualified drivers that can provide the kind of service we deliver. If you're interested in learning more about Norton or just want to subscribe to the show, check out 6-figuretrucker.com. That's 6-figuretrucker.com.